What up? This is Sterling here, bringing you some more Halo insight. Today will be another installment of our setup series. We're going to be going over some ambush versus optic gameplay on Plaza strongholds. And the sign that we're seeing right here on the screen, Lockdown in Effect, is a perfect segue into this episode because this setup will lock your opponents down. And what's crazy and very fascinating to me is that I feel like a lot of pros haven't really caught on to this setup. They've been utilizing it, but at a subconscious level. I don't think they fully understand it, and I'm here to bring insight to all players, regardless of level right now, about this setup because I think it's awesome and um, it's been used in past seasons by teams like Envy or Optic or even utilized in this season, and we're going to be watching Ambush as they utilize the setup in this scenario right here because as they dominate Optic in this game 100-17. So let's get to it. So in this setup, essentially we have 4 players almost in every section of the map. So Nest, Cafe, Yard, and Loop. And where we're going to be spawn trapping the opponents is the hotel, this back gate area right here on this back wall, and in the bottom nest. And this setup can be utilized whether it's strongholds or in Slayer. And I believe it's one of the best, or if not the best, spawn trap on this map because you're spawning your opponents in a low position. You're gonna have positions like top mid and top gold on them, so you have the higher positions. You're keeping them away from weapons such as like the shotgun, if it's strongholds, and you can get the camo easily because this wall is blocking uh, obviously the back gate hotel and the bottom nest due to geometry, or if it's Slayer, you're getting that OS easily. Uh, in Slayer, I mean the sniper spawns here, but you can always like get it easily as well, or you can even nade it to yourself with these plasmas if you're really nerdy. But yeah, they don't really have enough a lot of resources. They got these 2 frag grenades, they got a bolt shot, and that's pretty much it. And when it comes to strongholds, like and their spawn trap back here, they're usually they're like, okay, we can't really go for bottom mid because you have like almost every angle on bottom mid. If they go up top nest, they're gonna be melted from loop and from top cafe. So they're usually forced in strongholds to have to push from hotel into cafe and get cafe control, and then maybe start pushing yard or something and create a push-pull scenario. So let's get to the positionings of the setup, and I'm going to give you a description of what each player in each position's responsibilities are, and a few tips on how to better the setup and keep it sustained for a long period of time. So you have 1 player in yard, which is going to be Trippy right here, and what you essentially want to do is just be top gold for the most part, but your main objective though is to block the yard. Make sure you can like utilize your back button, make sure all of them or 3 of them are up before you jump to top gold. And if you do jump top gold, you still can block yard from being top gold, but I would say let this light right here, like let's pretend there's an imaginary line from that light to this light. Just try not to pass that line, because from there they can probably they can spawn back shotgun. They have the possibility of that. So you want to just keep them contained in the back wall and hotel and bottom nest if you can. So you're gonna be working in the pair with the guy in cafe, and you're gonna make it really difficult. Your goal is to make it difficult for the players spawning like back gate and hotel to transition from hotel to the top cafe ramp. The guy in cafe, you want to be playing more so on the top cafe ramp because your main goal is to shut down players pushing from hotel to you. And also, if they decide to lift up from like bottom nest to top nest to go in that stronghold, you can start melting them across the map, which we actually get to see Ola do here very, very well and effectively in a few moments once we get more to the example. And then we're going to have, I'll just fast forward this a little bit so we get more of the better positionings here, because we're going to have Saiyan rotate to the loop a little bit more. and then we'll have one player being in top mid, and this player is gonna just his viable spots are top mid and S4. S4 is viable because it's an inactive area, which I covered in one of my videos, meaning my past videos. An inactive area is a region within an active sector that doesn't influence spawns. So you're not going to be blocking bottom nest from being S4, but I would recommend more so being top mid because you can still be naded out here more easily than you can be from top mid. And your main job is to just watch bottom mid, melt people going from hotel to top cafe, and also help if people start lifting and trying to push from nest to like the posters area. And then you have your backman over here in glass, and he has a similar job of the yard guy to make sure these spawns are blocked. So I wouldn't recommend being like on the LR box right away because that's an inactive area. I would suggest like being on the glass or being on this box, but you could be glass because that blocks loop. So just if make sure all of them are up for the most part, and then once they're all up, you can go to the LR. You can help watch bottom mid. You can melt these guys that are lifting up, make it hard for them, and plus you got the LR here, so you're in a great spot. And then that's pretty much all the spots of the setup. And one tip I want to emphasize is this cafe player. When you're this cafe player and you feel like you're getting really overwhelmed, like they're doing like a 2-man push or a 3-man push, or even if it's a 1v1 and you feel like you're not going to win, like you don't need to hold this ground and sacrifice your life no matter what. Like hold it until you die. Like if you feel like you're getting overwhelmed, you can always leave and like dip out into the yard if you need to, because if the opposing team gets cafe, that doesn't really change anything. Like even if it's Slayer or if it's Strongholds, like in Strongholds, if they get cafe, they're still not getting yard, they're still not getting bottom mid, they're still not getting nest. If it's Slayer, that's still a spawn trap. You still have 75% of the map for the most part. You still have yard, loop, and for the most part, you still have more control of nest than they probably do. So they're just putting themselves in a different spawn trap at that point, where we'll have a L. Like we'll probably invert. We're gonna be trapping them in that cafe area. So either way, it's still a win-win scenario right there if you just play your cards right. So we're gonna play it a little bit and watch as how Ambush utilizes setup. The one thing they did mess up on is Trippy here. He after arming this, he left the yard area and he went into cafe and doubled up in there, and there's really no reason to do that. And instead he should have just jumped to top gold. And what's funny in this game as well is that Ambush got into the setup earlier in this game, and they could have sustained it, but they pretty much did the same thing where this player just left and doubled up in cafe, and I felt like it was unnecessary in my opinion, because you could still be aggressive without having to close the distance and just keep your opponents trapped and keep them in a really bad dilemma where they have to win battles, where they have to get slays, where they have to get more positioning on you guys. So we're going to watch as Optic starts all spawning in the back gate hotel area. And look how Ola is just completely melting these players as they take the average inside route of spawning and just walking up the ramp. When you're Optic and you're in this positioning and you're spawning back gate hotel, like you know all of like Splice of the Live, you have to assume something like this is happening. Like they have cafe. You didn't like you're spawning hotel back gate and bottom nest for a reason. It's because they're blocking hotel. I mean, they're blocking cafe. They're blocking yard. They're blocking loop. They're blocking those 3 main regions, so that's why you're spawning bottom nest. That's why you're spawning back gate. That's why you're spawning hotel. So we have the complete 90-degree pinch right here from glass and loop and top mid, and it's completely shutting anybody coming up here down. So we're making it hard for these players to do anything. That player ends up getting cleaned up from this guy top mid, but this player would have been cleaned up instead of Trippy moving over here. Boom. Shoot this guy that's bottom dip. Melt this guy that's coming up the ramp. if Ola isn't doing it. Ola's gonna melt some more, take these players out, boom, boom, boom. They're dead. They're not arming that yard. Or, I mean, my bad, they're not arming that nest. And look how Trippy leaves the yard, and boom, this guy is spawning here. So just imagine him continually blocking this and just jumping between top gold, jumping top gold, and dropping. Let this player just keep doing his thing S4 and top mid. Let Sane here just keep blocking loop. And in strongholds, like in Slayer, you can do that. You can be aggressive. Like in Slayer, you have more flexibility to flip flop between different setups. Like we can spawn trap them in yard, we can spawn trap them in loop, we can spawn trap them bottom nest. Like you have more flexibility, and strongholds you do as well if you want. But like in my opinion, when it comes to strongholds, like why spawn the opponents closer to the hill, to the stronghold, when you have the opportunity to just keep spawning them in a shitty area such as hotel, back gate, and nest, where it's way harder for them to get a stronghold. So just please, pro players or amateur players or whatever level, like please learn how to use this setup. Please start dominating. I'm only here to help and want to see the game evolve and grow and more strategies arise and see how teams smoothly transition from different setups or get more creative. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys learned a lot. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We're releasing content every week here to inspire and raise awareness and give insight on Halo strategy and concepts, because we just are very passionate about this game and wanting to help see the community grow, helping see the game grow, seeing how the culture of esports and the culture of Halo growing. So as always, peace and love, my brothers and sisters, and why limit yourself when you have the ability to transcend?